Christie Osborne, founder of Mountainside Media. I specialize in marketing systems, AI, and measurement. And this year, I stopped sleeping with my phone in my bedroom.
I'm Margaux Frazee, the host of the Wedding Summit series. This is our 16th event, and it doesn't even add up to the hundreds of times I've been to Hawaii and the 20 plus cups I have that drive my husband insane.
Margaux, are they all Starbucks cups?
They are.
Exclusively get the Starbucks swag.
They have a whole line of Hawaii specific Starbucks merch. So there's this one, and then there's this one that's just over here on the desk, and that's just two of my ridiculous collection that my husband always makes fun of me for.
So, Margaux, you are doing the Wedding Summit series, and the focus this year is on technology and AI. What are you hoping that people are going to use AI or technology to fix right now in their business?
So, the biggest thing that technology and AI can help with, in my mind, and that have helped me, is to gain back time. When we're thinking about how wedding pros would run their business in 2017, 2018 versus what that looks like in 2026 and the couples that we are working with, they have expectations about automations and how quickly they get information. And I want wedding pros to meet those expectations and use technology and AI to gain back time for their business, for their CEO time, not doing menial tasks, and also just having more time in their day for other things, not working on all of these menial things in their business.
I was a speaker at the summit in 2022, and watching the changes that you made this year in 2026 has been extraordinary. One of the things that I really appreciated, because I am so precious about copy, is that you included copy blocks, like the standard, like here's the email you should consider sending. What you did this year was you tacked on that AI playbook that people could plug into AI and make it their own based on their voice, their brand, and things like that. I love that. What I'm wondering though is your topic is how to make AI sound like you.
Yep.
So this is right in your wheelhouse. The key to success. What's the difference between success and failure when it comes to using AI to make it your own?
Yeah, I think that one of the greatest things that people mess up, that's all people, not just wedding pros, that's all humans, is thinking that the AI is going to do more work for you than it really is. One of the things people need to learn about LLMs, chat, Claude, things like that, is that they're only going to give you as good of an output as whatever you give them. So during the Wedding Summit series, we're also going to do an interactive session, Prompt to Power, where we figure out how to give all these language learning models with better prompts, better information, so that we get a better result back. Because if we give them garbage in, you'll get garbage out. That's one of the things that I've come to do over the last 2 years in the Wedding Summit series. You were talking about all the copy that I give the speakers, because it's not up to all the speakers to figure out all the research that I've done on the back end of what wedding pros need right now, which is tech and AI. So I'm trying to give you guys as much of that copy as possible, but also know that not everyone sounds like the copy that my ChatGPT gives me because I've trained it to speak like me. So I'm giving you also this AI playbook to help you make that copy sound like you by giving it a better prompt.
I have dog barking going on here.
I cannot hear a thing.
Yes, I muted it. I'm going to ask you another question. I'm going to mute it again. Let me just regather my thoughts. Quick question. Do people need to be on a pro AI account in order to get the most out of this workshop or any of your sessions in particular?
I think if you're using the free version of something like Chat or Gemini or, things like that, you can use everything that we're doing during the summit, right? Now, how that ends up working in your workflow, I can't say. But we haven't designed anything like to really work with only things you can pay for unless you decide that you really want to use that tool. I think the only presentation that's like that is we have someone talking about Canva. We're doing deep dives into specific platforms. And the speaker is going to talk about the things that the pro Canva can do that the free Canva cannot do. And Canva does have a lot of AI running in the background in its pro account. So she'll be talking about the differences. But no, I think that you can use the free account to get a lot of use out of what we're putting out there, including the AI playbook for attendees that you can get with the upgrade is very similar to the one that I gave to you.
Yeah, I loved that. In the past, I've been really open to meeting people where they're at. If you have a free account, we'll work on a free account. If you have a paid account, we'll do that. If you have analytics, we'll do that. If you have something else, we'll do that. And more, I'm starting to just make recommendations based on what I know works. This is
Right.
not a $1,000 a month recommendation. It's a $20 a month recommendation. And one of the things that I noticed when I first started using AI, especially on free tools, is I would blow through my tokens on the free platform so quickly because there was no way for me to set up something custom so I could train the AI. And then also, even now that I've been on Pro for several years and have all these projects set up and all the customizations, I still sat down for 30 minutes to organize myself because you don't know all of the things that I want to talk about in my business. I'm going to have to match up what I want to talk about with your playbook, and that takes a minute. Otherwise, if I jam your playbook in there and freestyle it on the fly, I'm either going to get okay-ish output, not as good as it could be, or I'm going to start blowing through tokens if I'm on the free plan. I did notice you set up your playbook to work with the free plan, so I appreciated that. At a certain point, when do you recommend to a business, get the Google Suite, stop using Gmail, get the paid Claude, stop using free?
My recommendation is when it starts interfering with your workflow, that is when you should probably pay for it. If you are someone that is only using it a little bit here, a little bit there, probably not. But if you are a person that is using it consistently in your business and you find that the free version of chat is just slowing you down and not giving you the output, or you're running through your tokens on a Claude or something else, if it's actually interrupting your workflow, it's probably worth paying for. That's what I see. What do you recommend for your clients? You're working a lot more in the tech space than I am, even though I am hosting a summit about tech and AI. But the reason that I ask the people like you is because what do you recommend to people to know when it's time to pay for the paid version of a software, an AI, or whatever?
When I'm doing workshops, I say, listen, if you're on free, here's how to get started, play around with it, see what you want. But when I'm working with clients, generally they're paying me to set up customizations. And I can't do that unless they're on a paid account. If they want more time or more efficiency out of their marketing team with AI tools and customizations, they're going to have to be on a paid account.
Yeah, for sure.
So I want to talk about some tips that you might have based on your experience, not just as a summit builder, but also as a wedding pro. Your whole world is building out systems. Building a system with technology and building a system without, technology, it's not different. And I think that the more that people can understand that the foundational principles that keep you organized as a service provider are the same principles that should keep your tech organized. And when your tech becomes unraveled, it's pretty much the same as when your systems for providing a service become unraveled, and it can cause a lot of damage. When you're building out systems, whether for a summit or for a client, what do you do to make sure that they're successful?
I think to make any system successful, you have to first know what the outcome is, right? And the outcome for me as either a summit host or a wedding planner is that at this particular moment in time for me, I am not looking for growth in my wedding planning business because I only service 4 or 5 weddings a year, because most of the time I'm hosting the summit, I'm doing education, I'm running my membership. And so I'm looking for a system that's going to help me accomplish the goal that I need, be distracted by all the fancy bells and whistles that are out there. The same for the summit. I think taking in input, anytime we have a summit, I get a bunch of emails on the back end. People are sending me customer service emails. They're telling me, oh, this button is broken. Oh, I don't know why I can't do this. Why is it this? And I love those emails because they help me address the holes in my systems. Because the summit does have a lot of tech running on the back end. People can sign up for a free ticket. The summit is free. You sign up for a free ticket, it's your name and your email, and then it suggests The upgrade deadline funnel is doing that for me. When I first did the summits, I made that window offering you this low price for the all access pass. That window was only 10 minutes. I got feedback that said, hey, that's not enough time for me to grab my wallet, to ask my husband, to ask my business guy if I can do this. And so now that time limit is up to 20 minutes. I haven't gotten any complaints since I did that. But I think as people are building their systems, they are not thinking about the outcome. They're thinking about the shininess half the time. Ooh, look at all these cool things that you're going to be talking about this concept of tech debt and what people need to do before they're thinking about adding agents and GPTs. And I fell down that rabbit hole. I'm like, I can make a GPT to do everything for me. But then I was like, ooh, if I just spend a lot of time making this GPT that's not actually fulfilling my actual needs. So getting straight on your actual business needs and what those systems have to accomplish. And also listening to the people that are using those systems, clients, your staff, in my case, summit attendees, and fixing the holes that you yourself as the maker of those systems may not be aware of.
One of the biggest mistakes that I see is that clients will get really excited about a new platform that's being marketed well, and a lot of their colleagues are starting to use. And we've seen this, like everybody was losing their minds over Honeybook, and then it was Dubsado. Somewhere in there was 17 hats. Now everybody's switching to high level. And what I see with these systems is they're getting more and more robust. And platforms, because they're trying to keep you on platform, they're trying to introduce like a full funnel suite of functionality. And so what I'm seeing is business owners will invest in these really robust CRMs or project management software, or, like Active Campaign switch from an email marketing platform to a complete CRM. But because they don't have a plan, they only half build it. And then they'll build on the fly. And so the biggest indicator that I am going to be unraveling a rat's nest is when I see a lot of like freestyle tagging in the CRM or in the emails. Things are capitalized, they're lowercase, there's a lot of synonyms in there. And what happens is at first it looks like the system is working well and there's no problem. Oftentimes there's not a problem for a good year, maybe 2 if you're lucky. But after that, the system starts to break down. You can't train your team members easily anymore because there are all of these special cases. People start to move things into some sort of archive folder, which is completely unorganized. By the time they go through quick fix-its to get a functional system that's half baked and half built, things are failing catastrophically. They're not getting as many leads or inquiries, getting ghosted a lot more. And when they come to me and they say, I'm getting ghosted and my inquiries aren't turning into tours or bookings, it's not a matter of better marketing. I have to rebuild almost their entire system to get it to work again. Have you ever experienced that or seen that in your own?
I felt personally attacked when you were talking about the
Freestyle tagging.
Freestyle tagging. Yeah, the back end of my kit, or I hate they changed the name, ConvertKit. I'll always call it ConvertKit. My ESP, email service provider, did have a lot of freestyle tagging in it. My biggest thing that I do wrong, and I know that I do wrong, and I'm trying to stop, is a copy and paste of funnel, whether it's inside the ESP, whether it's inside of my CRM, kind of a copy and pasting. And it causes me to miss when I don't change people's names or when I don't change the name of things. That's my particular problem that I have. I'm trying right now to figure out how AI can fix that. So I'll ask you, the expert, if you are like me and you have spotted a really big problem that you, the human, are doing to try to make your systems work, is there anything that you're seeing on the horizon right now, or it seems like AI could fix that? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm working with a client right now where we're doing measurement marketing build out. So we're trying to measure better, not just funnel flow, but what kind of content works and what kind of content doesn't work. And when you start thinking about content, You're talking about tagging and categorizing content because you have to bucket things together in order to get those patterns and insights. And the bad news is AI will not fix your organizational disorganization. Like it won't fix you being disorganized. When you come to AI and you accept responsibility for your role in the relationship and that you know things about your business that AI doesn't, and you organize that information just like you would a new hire or a new employee, and you give that information in an organized way for AI, you can use those funnel templates. You can use all sorts of templates on the internet very effectively. But when you don't come to AI with some sort of organization or some sort of context about what your situation is and what you're looking to accomplish, then at best you get generic advice that doesn't fit your business but sounds good, so you do it anyway, or you just get crap. One of the ways that I have used AI to clean up people's messes is to give AI the mess. My client is this kind of business. We are trying to accomplish this with this cleanup project. These are the tags in the blog. I organize it in a spreadsheet for AI. And then I ask AI, what patterns do you see and how can we create a better tagging system? Here are the requirements. I don't want more than 6 tags. I want them to make sense across emails, across blogs. I'll give AI the website or examples of the website content. I'll give AI examples of the emails. And it will take sometimes an hour, maybe 2, 3 hours to assemble and organize all of this information. But once I've done my role as the business leader, then I can give it to AI, and AI very quickly comes up with a really great strategy that might have taken me 10, 15, 20 hours of pushing data around to come to. But I've got to give AI the context in order for that magic to happen.
That's why we're doing several sessions during the Wedding Summit series, all about how to make AI sound like you. AI is looking for patterns. We are also going to take it right down to the very granular level for everyone who is really starting out with AI, right? Day 1 of the Wedding Summit series is going to be tech and AI basics. We're going to be talking about what AI is and what AI isn't. That is all AI is. Pattern recognition. Everything from the algorithm that Netflix is using to give you new shows based on what you are already watching. That's pattern recognition. Getting Claude to sound like you and write an email that sounds like you based on pattern recognition of what you give it. I like that we are starting at these very first building blocks so that attendees of the Wedding Summit series can, if they are not understanding what you're talking about, Christie,
You're really selling it for me. Thank you.
It's a good thing because you and I can have conversations and I'll be like, yes, that's great. And then at a certain point I go, Christie's knowledge base is much more vast than mine about this particular subject. But that's what I love about the summit, because we're trying to meet everybody where they are. And you always do a great job in the presentations, and anytime I see you speak, you do a great job of meeting people where they're at and explaining these technical concepts, but then also talking about what's possible, which may go over my head, right? But it's all about the building blocks that we are using. That's what I think, because we're talking about tech and AI basics, and then the next day we're talking about tech and AI for marketing, and then the next day we're talking about tech and AI for sales and systems, and then we're ending with how to be creative with AI, which a lot of people miss. It can be fun. It can be your help with ideation. It can help future-proof your business. It can do all these amazing things. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I tend to end up in the weeds, one, because it's my personality and I'm just voraciously curious about everything. But two, by the time somebody comes to me, because I do really techie things, measurement, ads, AI, they have problems they can't solve. I generally work with venues, larger multi-op clients that are pretty techie, to be honest. And so by the time they're coming to me, they have beaten the bushes as much as they can and they're still stuck. So they need somebody to think a little bit beyond some of the basics that can be learned on YouTube. But I just want to make a plug for you to say that one of the things that I listen to beginner podcast content, or if somebody puts together a Start Here series, I'll listen to the beginner stuff. And I'm always surprised at how much I still learn from beginner content, not just because technology is changing, but because they're like little nuggets that somebody else has found in the beginner sphere that I haven't found. If you are advanced, don't shirk the beginner stuff as well, because I know a lot of the speakers that are in the summit and they're phenomenal in how they break things down. They're phenomenal in the metaphors that they offer and use. They're phenomenal with the frameworks that they've formulated. Who do you think this summer is actually for?
So, on a grand scale, the Wedding Summit Series, our main edition, that's the one big event that we do every year. This year, we're doing deep dive in tech and AI. Spoiler alert, if you're just learning about the Wedding Summit Series, we don't always talk about tech and AI. I do a big deep dive to figure out what would be most helpful for wedding pros in this moment. So last year we were talking about luxury. The year before we were talking about marketing. The year before we were talking about growth and money and all kinds of good stuff. So at its basic level, the Wedding Summit Series is for wedding professionals of all kinds. We do a lot of work to make sure that we have a vast variety of speakers, both culturally and location-wise, and the level that they're talking about to meet everybody where they are. For the Tech and AI Summit, it required getting a lot more speakers. We usually have about 22 speakers. This time we have 32 speakers. We also have 15 new speakers. We have new voices. Because what I was hearing when I interview wedding pros before the summit, when I am figuring out from my own membership what people are talking about, there was a vast divide between where people were at with tech and AI, because we have everyone from people that have been in business 15, 20, 25 years, and they are kind of like me. They're like, why fix it if it ain't broke? And they have not added a single thing of tech. They may not even have a website. They may still be depending on referrals. And then we have everybody all the way over to here. I know amazing photographers in my own market here in Los Angeles that are using so much tech in their business, it's making my head spin. So we have this huge divide in the wedding industry. And I wanted to meet people where they were. So we have beginning sessions, we have intermediate sessions, we have sessions that are very high level where we're going to be getting into like vibe coding, which is I just learned about last week. We're trying to meet everybody where they are. And to do that, we are having breakout sessions on Sunday, the day before the summit goes live, to help people figure out which sessions are going to help them the most, depending on where they're at, whether you're a beginner, whether you hate AI, whether you want to know more, whether you want to add human side to your automations, or whether you're already really using it and you want to learn how to level up. But I wanted to make sure that we met everyone where they were. And we're also, outside of the presentations, going to have live conversations, live panels, live interviews, where we are going to make sure that we're hitting anyone where they're at, whatever their level they are at. I think it's for wedding pros of all stages. Things are going to work for you. I don't suggest everybody come to the summit and watch everything. I never suggest that, because your brain will explode, because we have so much for you. But figuring out which sessions are talking to you about where you are at, that is something that we try really hard to do. I'm curious about your particular presentation. What level do you think your presentation is about? Because we're having it at our pre-party, so we're having it first, because I thought it was a good baseline for people to hear about scaling their business with tech and like what an AI and what that can do. What do you think your particular presentation, who do you think it's for?
It is for all levels. It's for people who are just starting to use technology and AI and just starting to think about, how do I use technology to grow? They're going from a Gmail to Google Suite, or they're going from MailChimp to something more robust like ActiveCampaign. Then there's plenty of content for the people who got themselves into a bit of a mess and are feeling stuck. And one of the things that I have been trying to do to be more interactive with my content in the past couple of years is I've created a scorecard. So anybody who attends my session, they'll get access to take this scorecard, which It has really, here's what you do given your situation and 4 action steps to clean things up or get started. It's not available to the public. It will be a paid product a few weeks after the summit. I'll teach them the thing in my session, and then they can go into this scorecard and answer 16 questions for categories, and they'll be able to get a diagnostic of where they sit in their business. And then for each of those 4 categories, they'll get 4 action steps based on where they're at in their business that they can start doing and that they learned how to do it in my session. I wanted to make sure that we understand that there's all sorts of folks in the wedding industry. So choose your own adventure. You don't have to do all of the things I talk about. You have to do these 4 things based on where the biggest risk is in your business.
One of the things I always try to get for the attendees of any Wedding Summit series, no matter what topic we're on, is the most current information from our speakers, the most current things that they have. So often we get, like you just said, previews of things that are going to be paid products that they'll get for free. We're going to get previews of what the next thing people are talking about. And that's what I always aim for with the Wedding Summit series.
Margaux, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Is there anything else you want to leave the viewers with in terms of what they're going to walk away with or how to get the most out of the summit?
There are many online events that wedding professionals could go to. Fun fact, I'm friendly with a lot of the other hosts. People think that's not a thing, but we as hosts want to keep in mind so we don't overlap people with dates and speakers and topics. And I keep calling it the Wedding Summit series because we like to differentiate ourselves with this deep dive with the tech and AI edition. Again, the ticket is free. If you're interested in anything that Christie and I have been talking about, it's free to grab your ticket and check it out. You can look at our schedule, figure out which ones are speaking to you, come to those breakout sessions and figure out an actual path. That's what they are designed to do, because I want wedding pros that are coming to the Wedding Summit series to get something out of it. I am not about passive learning. I want to make sure that people are action oriented. That's why all of our presentations come with some kind of worksheet, some kind of action steps. A lot of it is going to be tech and AI focused. I want people to just take that next step because I know that that is the thing that people are so afraid of. Whether you're anti-tech and anti-AI, I hate to break it to you, your couples are not. And I don't want you to get left behind when this becomes the norm, because that time is now. It's like, it's here. And also, if you're someone that's, you want to use tech, but you want to make sure that you're using it in a human way and you're not overloading your couples, we're going to have lots of talks about that. And if you are someone that is using AI every day in your business, great. We want to help you do that better. We want to help you level up. We want to help you know what the next thing is that's coming. And so there are sessions for all of those things that you can come during Summit Week, April 20th to 24th, for free with the free ticket. So I grab that free ticket and then decide what comes next. There's no commitment. It's free.
My link will be in the description. Thanks for joining me, Margaux.
Thank you for having me.